Welcome to today's asset navigation session, very snappily titled Streamlined Asset Management with OpenText Content Suite Documentum for SAP and IBM Maximo, which admittedly is something of a mouthful. Actually, what I'll do is I'll go off video as well. No, actually, I'll go off in a second. So the title didn't lend itself to be particularly memorable, so I had a quick go of switching it, see if I could make it any more snappy. And I came up with asset navigation, capture, categorize, correct and connect your engineering drawings, documents and data. But still didn't really feel it got the message across. So my colleagues from marketing put this together. Which hopefully starts to improve on the message. In terms of, so we had product demonstrations, check. Solution overview, yeah, we're going to give you some of that. SolEx leading edge technology, definitely, double check. Then one of my very supportive colleagues pointed out that leading speakers was somewhat dubious because I was the one who was presenting. So that's when we decided that it was be good to get some heavy hitters in, which is when our friends from Qellus come in. So we invited Swati and Michael to join us and help present today. They're both from our partner organization and fellow SolEx partner, Qellus. And welcome, guys. I appreciate you spending the time to join the party today. And they'll be presenting some of their own technology as part of the seminar, and also available to ask questions or to answer questions as we go along as well. So in terms of the running order, I'll give a brief introduction of Cad-Capture, then Michael will give a brief overview of Qellus. We'll switch to an overview of asset navigation and then lead into a demonstration of the HotSpots, which is the end user experience of the asset navigation solution. Then Michael will give a brief extended ECM overview, particularly from the Qellus perspective, about how Qellus works alongside the OpenText infrastructure, and Cad-Capture and Qellus can work so well together. Then we'll touch briefly on some of the new features of asset navigation, and then finish with questions and a summary at the end. So if there are any questions, please feel free to either voice them or put them on the chat. My colleague David will be monitoring that, so he'll raise those as we go along if you'd rather not shout out. And without further ado, we'll get going. And I will now go off camera to save you having to look at me. There we go. Right, so if they can get this to work. So briefly, I think the vast majority of you are familiar with Cad-Capture, but for those who aren't, based in the northwest of England in a town called Blackburn, we've worked with OpenText for over 17 years. We've specialized in engineering as long as we've been in existence, which is over 30 years, I think approaching 37 years now. The solution that we're focusing on today is asset navigation, which is delivered with Cad-Capture's Asset Information Management, or the EAM suite. We're part of the OpenText Solution Extension Partner Program, and we're also cloud certified. We'll give you some more details about that later on. But one of the key areas that we work with is the extended ECM part of the OpenText portfolio. And again, more on that later on. But for now, I'll hand you over to Michael just to give you a quick overview and introduction of Qellus. Michael?
Okay, thank you, Chris. Hi, Michael Payne. I'm a principal engineer here with Qellus, and Qellus is it's a consulting organization founded by information professionals. So our average consultants have over 20 years experience, and this is not just on the technical side, but also the end use side. So We can bring a lot of value to your processes. We've seen a lot, and we can share that and help you leverage that. So we try to ensure that we can enhance the collaboration and the sharing of content across the entire asset lifecycle. So no matter where the content is created, we should be able to find out when and where it's needed and have that access. So we are solution partners with SAP, of course, with OpenText, and with IBM also. So that's Qellus, and we're not we're the technology providers for the extended ECM solution. Not so much with the Cad-Capture, but we found that there's an excellent collaboration between these two entities. All right, Chris.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. Okay, so I'll now give you a brief overview of the asset navigation solution. And one of the key things that we've found that goes across a whole host of asset-intensive industries are the problems that they face and the similarity of the issues and challenges that they're looking to overcome. Here's an example of some of the industries that we've been successful in and that we focus our attention in. But the one thing they all have in common is they're asset-intensive in terms of either the creation, maintenance, and handing over and operation of large-scale assets. And all of them tend to struggle with siloed information, difficulty in accessing vital engineering content and documentation. And as a knock-on effect, they have difficulty in meeting and maintaining safety and compliance standards, and also being able to leverage technology that they've invested large amounts of time and money in across the enterprise and utilizing those tools successfully. These are all areas that we've generally been able to help improve with the introduction of the asset navigation solution. So starting with the actual ability to extract information, but what we do is we give the ability to take information from native CAD files and searchable PDFs. And this means you can extract information based on pattern recognition, identify the asset tags and other types of information such as continuation tags based on a structured naming convention, and use that information to compile basically a tag library or database. We can differentiate between the different types of tag. So you can designate what type of tag you want to focus on, where the business value is. So you could just go for equipment, or you could go for all the examples that you've got here in terms of continuation tags, instrumentation, and piping as well. And you can start with one and then expand it as we go along. But one key thing that we can do as part of that extraction and categorization process is we can identify where there are errors as well. So here you see an error in the continuation tag where there's spaces that have been introduced by the way that the tag has been entered manually. We can overcome that. We can identify it firstly and offer the end user the ability to tolerate it at the metadata level. So we extract the information as it is on the drawing, and then we correct it so it actually conforms to the correct naming convention. So from a search and retrieval point of view, the right results. You don't have to change the underlying drawing, but it does allow you to overcome these issues, which otherwise would cause delays, if not more serious problems in terms of finding the right information because of the lack of consistency. Once that information is captured, correlated, categorized, and then, if need be, corrected, we can then activate it. And that means that from an end user perspective, using the OpenText multi-format viewer, you can simply, when you're looking at a drawing, you can hover over an asset tag, and then you get this right-click menu, which gives you a variety of different options. One of the out-of-the-box options would be related document. So the ability to immediately identify and then navigate to related content. So in this case, you've got a number of different drawing types and documents. So process flows, P&IDs, plot plans, and then a data sheet for that piece of instrumentation. And we'll go into more detail in that in the live demonstration. But as part of the right-click option and the ability to activate this information, you can also then go into the extended ECM framework, which means that you can link with other applications, particularly lead asset management applications such as IBM Maximo and SAP. And this is where Qellus really come to the fore because their integration to IBM Maximo for the extended ECM platform really mimics the extended ECM for SAP integration, which means that either or both of those systems can be linked in a very tight fashion into the OpenText content. And this means that what you see here are the business workspaces that can be created and managed and accessed, giving you the ability to see information from the lead application, from the drawings perspective, and vice versa, drawing information and content from the unstructured engineering documents from the lead application. And that is hugely powerful in terms of being able to bring those two sources of information, data and documentation, into alignment. And here you see some of the images that you'll see in the live demo later on, which is from an IBM Maximo perspective, how you can access information that's held natively within the Maximo application from the OpenText user interface as well. Okay, and so all of that means that you're able to take the information from the drawings and create the database and then upload it from a search and retrieval point of view. And so that means that you can, as you can see here, you have the visible asset tags at the metadata level, so you can search and retrieve in a much more efficient way. What we can also do, my mouse will decide to wake up. We can also, as part of the business workspace, the business attachments, the documents that are relevant to a particular asset within a business workspace can be created and then maintained and managed moving forwards. And that is hugely powerful because that saves a lot of time in terms of the creation of those business attachments. And this can be automated with the use of the asset navigation solution and then the extended ECM workflow that comes along with it. So I'll go into a very quick extended ECM overview. Michael, so where have we gone here? So before we do that, sorry, I've got my slides mixed up. I was going to do a demonstration first, wasn't I? And then we'll go to your part of the session. So apologies everyone there. I will do that now and go to here. And of course it's timed out. So this is an end user demonstration of the asset navigation solution, which really results in the HotSpots giving people the ability to utilize either Documentum or Content Suite and get the asset information readily at their fingertips. So I'll open up. This is using a Content Suite environment, and this is the smart user interface. We also work with a classic interface. We open up a drawing here, and as you can see, it opens up in the multi-format viewer. And on the left-hand side, you have the HotSpots interface here. Now, there's a number of different options here. I'm going to sort of keep this fairly brief because a lot of you have seen it and you're familiar with this scenario anyway. But the key thing is that what we're doing is surfacing the information and the content from the drawing level. We're capturing it. We're allowing you to utilize it more effectively from a search and retrieval point of view, and then we're activating it. And this illustrates the activation part. So you can see all the different colors that have come on screen here. I'll zoom in here. So you see the blue for the equipment, pink for instrumentation, green for lines, and yellow for continuation tags. So you can very quickly use that to navigate around a drawing. So, busy P&IDs as we've got here, there are 105 different tags on this drawing alone. All of those have been captured and activated. So you can very quickly zoom into each of those and it will immediately identify where in the drawing that exists. You can also start, I'll do this quickly, you can start typing in and go into a specific location of something that you're looking for. So here, if you're looking for pump P110, it gives you the ability to show all the occurrences on the drawing. Because we take the XY coordinates, we know where each one of them exists on the drawing. You're also able to navigate around to related content, as I said before. If the right-click menu, the related documents. So this does a pre-can search and gives you direct visibility of the drawings and documents that are related to that pump. So either that pump exists on those drawings or it's associated with them. So you also have not just the data sheet here for the pump, but you also have the data sheet for the related motor, which is associated to it. So we can click this. Any of these drawings would open up. I've clicked the data sheet for the motor. And this opens up in the viewer again, and you have right-click options again, and in a similar way you can go and look at related documents. Different search results because this is coming from a different point. This is a different asset tag, but there's commonality there as well. So we can go back to the data sheet, sorry, the P&ID that we started off from. You also have the ability to very quickly navigate around multiple drawings. So if you're walking the line, you can go from the pump or the motor along here. We're on drawing 4, as you can see at the top here. We can just click on this continuation tag. It immediately opens up, and it even gives you the indication of where you've come from. So in the bottom corner here, you can see highlighted in yellow, it shows you that you're now on drawing 5 and you've entered from drawing 4. Okay, another feature that we have is the HotSpots history. This keeps a breadcrumb trail of all of the documents and drawings that you visit in a session. And it also means that you can save that. So if you get to a break or end of shift, you can very quickly pick up where you left off. But I think more powerfully, you can save this. So use this as the creation of a work pack, and then that can be shared over time. So that could be something that could be used as part of a periodic maintenance routine, for instance. And that can save a lot of time for document controllers in terms of compiling work packs, or it can empower engineers, reducing the need for them to go to document controllers because they've got, the list of all of the drawings and documents that are required last time a task was carried out. So again, that can be very powerful in its own right as well. And then we'll go back to the original P&ID, and I will open up the right-click menu here. And there's a variety of options here, and can happily go into these in more detail if anyone has interest in the other capabilities that we can offer. But one of the things that we've focused on here is bridging the gap between the unstructured engineering content in the drawings and documents and the structured information in the lead application, whether it be SAP or Maximo. So going to the business workspace means that you get exactly that. You get the ability to surface the information and the content from the drawing level in alignment with the SAP information or the Maximo information. So I mentioned earlier the business attachment. So here we have the business workspace for the pump P110. These business attachments have been identified and created and attached to this business workspace automatically. And then if any of them are revised or a new drawing or document is added where the pump is present, then that will also be added into these drawings. We also have other information here. So this system, which is a Qellus demo system, is very powerful in terms of has both a full Maximo and an SAP installation linked to it. And so you can actually see here with both the XECM for Maximo and the XECM for SAP systems at work, you can surface information in both of those applications from the business workspace. And that in itself is very powerful in terms of being able to show information in a common location and interface from the lead application, as well as from the content as well, as I showed you earlier. And what I'll do here is very quickly go into the Maximo system. And so this gives you direct access. And so the logon would generally be already single sign-on. And here you can see we've entered Maximo at exactly the location for the pump P110. And there's a whole variety of different options here. One of them being the business workspace. So this is created as part of the extended ECM integration. And this gives you exactly the same look, exactly the same features and folders and options as you saw from the OpenText side of things that I showed earlier. So I'm going to pause there and hand over to Michael. And Michael, I think you might have a couple of things you want me to show here before we go on to your section of the PowerPoint.
Okay, thank you, Chris. So as Chris is explaining, it's very powerful for maintenance users, in this case with IBM Maximo, to be able to navigate from a drawing to existing information that's in their EAM system. And in this case, it's IBM Maximo. So as he showed, the out-of-the-box Maximo implementation has attachments, but those are siloed. So by storing this information in the OpenText environment, we can now, from the application, the leading application, in this case, Maximo, attach or add this new business workspace functionality where we don't have to bother with links that get broken, with updating drawings. It's all staying in synchronization with these drawings, with these data sheets, etc., in real time. So what you're seeing here is IBM Maximo. This is an asset. There can be assets, there can be locations, there can be work orders, etc. So as you're seeing here on the left-hand column, there's a lot of user-defined and configurable document folders. That's 1, 2, 3. And then there's also the ability, just like asset navigation with Cad-Capture, we can look at related assets, locations on the drawing, or we can look, as Chris demonstrated a few minutes ago, to possibly the original purchase information from, thank you, from SAP. So in this case, we have extended ECM for SAP attached, and we're seeing that represented in Maximo for the financial information of the original purchase. So the machine was bought and the capital property depreciation is being handled by SAP, but the maintenance is handled by the Maximo piece. So it's very important to realize that not only are we showing and being able to expose information to the end user, this is a maintenance user, a maintenance planner, a technician that's out in the field, both with a mobile device or on the desktop application, all of the information that is needed when they're performing their job. And that includes the documents and the engineering drawings that are maybe needed by that technician. So we're exposing this using the extended ECM, meaning we don't have to leave the application and use the swivel chair approach in order to drop out, go into Autodesk, locate the drawing and open it up. It's all exposed directly within Maximo or SAP or other leading applications. Okay.
Thanks, Michael.
We're going to jump to the slideshow, and
yep. Get to it eventually.
Yep. I'm going to take people on a little bit of a journey to kind of conceptually show what this means. So asset navigation with Cad-Capture, as we've been partnering with Cad-Capture the last couple of years, we noticed that there's a lot of applications of that along the entire asset lifecycle. In general, in most industries, that's the plan, design, procure, construct, commission, operate, maintain, and then eventually decommissioning. So Cad-Capture is useful in looking at a drawing and being able to navigate within that drawing, both to the documents and content, but also related information directly from within the drawing. As Chris demonstrated, you can then open up one or more leading applications from the actual drawing. So let's start along the first piece of this, which is the plan, design, and construct. Typical companies have a CapEx, some type of annual CapEx project, where they have a portfolio of projects, they evaluate those and prioritize them, then those become an actual capital project or a CapEx. During that process, engineering drawings and other data is used during that process. There's a detailed design, and then there's usually engineering, procurement, construction, or EPC, where we need to monitor and manage configuration controlled information. And this is where Qellus and OpenText come in, but Cad-Capture is available and asset navigation directly and seamlessly within the management of engineering drawings and other data. So typically, this is the OpenText product called Extended ECM for Engineering. Qellus is very adept at helping customers in defining what those are. Those can be configuration, revision control, approvals, state flows, where this manages the process of who gets approval authority. It also does transmittal management between vendors and within the organization. Also, during the EPC process, there's a tremendous amount of procurement that goes on. So with extended ECM for either Maximo or SAP, depending on where you do your ERP and your purchasing, imagine, as Chris showed, it's not just engineering drawings. However, the purchasing agent may be able to access those and use that asset navigation. It's also the data sheets, the spare parts list, the master supplier agreements, and other things that are available seamlessly via the navigation with using extended ECM for SAP and or IBM Maximo. So that's the first part of this, where we're designing and we're constructing. Okay, one more, Chris. The next part is usually a kind of undervalued, but really needs to be emphasized. The installation, handover, commissioning, etc. A lot of times the project team moves on, and then they just kind of leave a dump truck full of data for the enterprise asset management and other people to deal with. So as you saw, the asset extraction can help on greenfield sites to upload information based upon that flock, the functional location and or the asset extraction. That can help you load your EAM system or other applications. If you have a situation in a brownfield site where you have thousands of engineering drawings and you have a very mature EAM system, you can still use this, and we've done this for many customers, where we can actually connect the information programmatically so that you get the drawings that are associated with your assets in your EAM system, as shown by Chris earlier, directly within that application without a lot of people manually doing attachments and things like that. So that's the asset data load and connection. Next, let's move into the next 30 years of life of this machine. It's the maintenance, repair, operations. We may need to send information back to the engineering team for updates on engineering drawings, things like that. It's also the spare parts, procurement, the financial depreciation. You may have EHS and others. Qellus has developed the IBM Maximo extended ECM connection. That's a SolEx product, but we also service and provide consulting services for SAP and other technologies, leading applications based upon the enterprise asset management part. Again, if I'm a technician and I'd like to see the drawings, that's very possible using this. If I'm on a drawing and I see a similar pump or motor or other thing while I'm out in the field with Cad-Capture, I can navigate to those similar objects and see their work order history, see their maintenance performance, their work orders and things like that. So the point along this slide is that the content can be created, okay, anywhere along the asset life cycle, but we expose it and make it available anywhere where it's needed across the asset life cycle. So that's Qellus with the services that provide the extended ECM application. But the navigation that's very intuitive for end users is directly from the drawing, where they can navigate across the EAM application, across the SAP application, et cetera, from directly with the drawing. So I focused on IBM Maximo, SAP, et cetera. One more click, Chris. There are other applications that we provide this service to if that's part of your processes with EHS and Enablon, with CRM systems like Salesforce and Microsoft Dynamics, or maybe you want to navigate from an engineering drawing directly into your Esri application. That's all possible using the extended ECM family of products. So that's the big picture, and I'm going to hand this over back to Chris.
Thanks, Michael. Okay, so again, hopefully that gave people a good idea of how the extended ECM framework can add value, how Cad-Capture can work within that framework in terms of being able to leverage the data and the information from the drawings and then utilize it in line with the other applications such as SAP and particularly Maximo. From the Qellus point of view, they facilitate and create that integration layer as part of the extended ECM framework. Just a brief summary of some of the latest developments from the asset navigation side of things. So one of the things that we've done fairly recently is deliver the ability to actually process large volumes of tag data in parallel. So this used to be sort of more sequential process, which meant that the initial loading and setup time, was longer. Now, because we can bring that information and do it in parallel, then we can shorten it, and really you can make the system load match the project setup. And I think that is very powerful in terms of making sure that we can get people up and running in a fast, efficient way from initial project. What we also have the ability to do now is provide remote processing as well. So this could easily either be for the initial backlog. So again, this parallel processing of the asset extraction Could be done, by Cad-Capture themselves. It could be done by a third party, or it could be done by the client. But particularly the ability to deliver it remotely means that there's less impact on the infrastructure at a client side of things, and then they can just focus on what the system needs to be set up to do from a business as usual perspective. However, if for any reason there are reasons why they don't want to have the system situated locally, then again we can also provide the ongoing upload and extraction and upload process as a remote service as well. Now, some of the future stuff that we're looking at, we're going to be releasing a fully containerized and with PostgreSQL support in the next month or so. And that's both for Content Suite and Documentum. We're also going to be providing support for intelligent viewing. So again, Brava is still going to be fully supported. The vast majority of our customers are using that already, but we will be able to support those people who are either starting from intelligent viewing right at the beginning of the project, or looking to transfer their focus to intelligent viewing, as that is really the viewing tool that OpenText have created for moving forwards. And finally, I'm going to give you a very brief overview of a new application we're looking to create, and this is going to be available sometime early in the new year, which is a functional location application, which means that you can streamline either the creation or the display of the functional location at the drawing level. I'll briefly talk you through a couple of slides here, and then we'll finish up for questions. I'm conscious that time is getting by. So again, we have the initial extraction process that we mentioned before. So this means that through the pattern recognition, we can identify information at the drawing level based on the structured naming conventions that are in use. What we can then do, or what we will be able to do once this application is released, is be able to identify how that information is related. So where equipment is to support, protect different sort of high level pieces of equipment and assets, then we'll be able to actually identify those at the drawing level. So you'll be able to draw, as you can see here, draw boundaries around a series of different assets that have already been identified within the drawing, and allocate those to a particular functional location. Now, very often this is already done, and this generally should have been taken care of in the lead application side of things. But we do see some customers who don't have the functional location to the level that they would like. And so this is one avenue of automating what is otherwise a very manual process of identifying those assets at the drawing level, trying to identify them then in the lead application. So we're going to give a much slicker and more streamlined way of literally drawing a boundary, easy for me to say, around the assets, and then assigning them to a particular functional location. And then that information will be transferred up into the lead application. That in itself, where it's required, could be very powerful. And you'll also then have the ability to either ongoing to actually update that. So if something was out of scope originally, but it comes in scope, or vice versa, you'll be able to make those alterations. And again, that information could then be transferred back into the lead application. But what we're also looking to do, even where the functional location or the location in Maximo is already set up, then actually giving the ability to visually display that at the drawing level. So you can take the information from the lead application and then highlight the assets and the tags that actually correspond to that particular functional location within the drawing itself. As I say, this is a new application that we're working on, and we'd welcome any feedback either today or moving forwards, or any questions you have on this, because we're eager to make sure that this meets clients' needs and the way that they're looking to create and display functional locations. But I just thought it would be a good opportunity today to give you sort of a look-see of something that we're working on that's going to be delivered in the not too distant future. Okay, so just to draw things to a close, in summary, the asset navigation has shown you that you can identify asset tags at the drawing and document level automatically. We can then correct any errors, whether they be in the entry by the people entering the tags on the drawings, or they could be, which I don't think I mentioned before, OCR errors where letters and numbers have been confused and the OCR has not picked up the correct information from the drawing. These can be corrected at the metadata level. You can then use that information to validate against lead application data. So you can then, from a master data governance point of view, make sure that your information is consistent and highlight any errors either in the lead application or in the drawings, and then action those accordingly. You can utilize the tag information from a search and retrieval point of view, so you get a much more granular view of what information is in what document and is in what drawing, and therefore you can make sure that your search results are more refined and give you access to things far more quickly. And then from an end user perspective, you have the ability to activate those tags as dynamic hotspots. And again, that gives you the ability to search intuitively from within the OpenText application, whether it be Content Suite or Documentum, to related documents, to tags within the drawing, or to continuation tags. But also, as we've shown today as well, to access third-party systems such as SAP and Maximo. And all of this is facilitated without any need to make changes to the drawings. So in terms of the benefits that we bring, as I mentioned at the beginning, we can help people improve their search and retrieval processes. We can make big inroads in terms of reducing the project delays they have, and particularly going from project to operations, or from the EPC information coming in from the third parties partners. We can help identify information and errors in that and feed those back before that information is on the critical path, and that can have great benefits in terms of reducing project delays. Also means that you can reduce downtime in terms of the faster work pack creation, and the better quality of the master data governance in terms of the data within the drawings being in line with the lead application. And again, a knock-on effect of this is the ability to increase and maintain vital safety and compliance standards. And I think one of the key things that particularly our friends at Qellus help us illustrate so well is the ability to leverage existing investments. So where somebody has an OpenText implementation of Content Suite or Documentum, and they have a lead application in the asset world, such as SAP, plant maintenance, capital projects, or IBM Maximo, EAM, then they're able to utilize those two often siloed implementations and bring that information together, consolidate it, and that can pay real dividends in terms of allowing people to access that information more readily, more safely, and more securely. Okay, that brings us to the end of the main part of the presentation. Thank you much, everyone. Thank you, Swati and Michael, for your time today. Appreciate your support. And as you can see on screen, contact details if there are any questions, if you'd like to access any further information, either on the Cad-Capture side for asset navigation, or you've got Tim's details here on the Qellus side if you want to get any more information about either the XECM for Maximo system that Qellus create and provide, or the many other services that they offer around the OpenText, SAP and Maximo side of things. Okay, thank you everyone for your time. I'll draw things to a close.